We're going to be watching a little bit of a calming period as we continue to move past these severe weather days. Of course, we're still going to have showers and we're going to have some thunderstorms, possibly a few of those having some severity, but for the most part, it will remain generally quiet as we move into the 10th, 11th, the 12th, the 13th. But until we get there, we have multiple days of severe weather continuing to be on the way, some of those being a lot stronger than what we've seen in the past 3, 4, 5 weeks. Let's go ahead and get right into it. And today we are looking at a strong, deadly tornado outbreak followed by numerous severe weather storms. I'm not going to edit this video much. Let's just go ahead and cover this and get right into it. Now, the National Weather Service for today is Monday, May 6th, has issued a high risk of severe weather. Please heed me when I say high risk. This is a very rare occurrence, happens once a year, maybe once in every 2 years. The last time we've seen something like this was back in March of the 31st of March, and we remember I had that 10-hour live stream. We remember how strong that tornado outbreak was. Multiple strong tornadoes, as well as that wind gust in excess of almost 90 miles an hour. Large hail in excess of 4 or 5 inches. This is going to be a very deadly event if that matches up with it. Not only do we have that high, the moderate, the enhanced, the slight, you're going to be seeing severe storms through all of these areas. It's going to be very widespread, very deadly, and you got to have a way to receive alerts if you're in here. Now, this is tornado driven, which is a bad thing. We do have that 10, that 15, that 30, the highest we have seen on this channel, I believe, that 30% significant portion of central Oklahoma. And if we put on population, you can see those big black clusters are more populous towns. Wichita Falls, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City in general, as well as those areas previously that were hit by tornadoes. So this could be, for the most part, a worst case scenario. You can see if I ended it, you got Woodward, Wichita Falls, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for the most part, gonna get hit really hard. Now, if we move to wind is not as significant, although it is still a pretty bad factor with this. 30% significant towards the east side of this, where that moderate and that enhanced is. But we could see some wind gusts in excess of 65 to maybe 70 knots, 80 knots even possible, just depending on storm. And one thing I will get to in a moment, but we do have this 45% significant hail, excess to see 2, 3, 4, even 5 inch in diameter. We have seen this on the channel a decent amount. So please heed this when I say this is a big event. National Weather Service issues a high risk only when there's a deadly event 100% on the way. This is something that can bust, but it's something that just doesn't happen very rarely. So the National Weather Service has waited extremely long. I stayed up all last night to see what they did. Even last night they didn't issue it. This is something that they have confidence that will happen. You gotta have a way to receive alerts if you're in here. And something I'll not cover here is the severe weather risk categories. You know, we haven't really covered a lot of that on the channel, but you go from thunderstorms with no label all the way up to the high risk. And the high risk is what we're seeing today with those long-tracked, long-lived, very widespread, and particularly intense. And we go up here and we look at the magenta color for high risk, an area where severe weather outbreak is expected from either numerous intense and long-track tornadoes, which is what they're highlighting, or a long-lived derecho producing thunderstorm complex and produces hurricane force wind. So depending on what happens, we're looking at that north side of this risk towards Kansas for a more squall line embedded type of storm. And then as we move into the later hours, we're looking at that southern side be more discrete supercellular event, which is what's going to help with that risk. Now, if we're looking at the severe probability, let me zoom out just a little bit. And if we're looking at that day one probability where we have all these enhanced the moderate, we were at a moderate with the 15% significant tornado threat. But this did move up to a 30% with significant severe. So we'll have possibility to see EF3, EF4, even EF5 tornadoes touch down. So we will continue to monitor this as this develops. A live stream does look extremely likely depending on when this does start. And we get into tomorrow where there's a slight risk of severe weather through portions of the Ohio Valley, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Indiana, Illinois. The tornado threat here is not going to be as great, which is good, although we do have that 5% through portions of the Ohio Valley still. Wind, once again, not as big of a factor with this storm, but hail does have that significance for a possibility to see 2, maybe 3 inch in diameter or larger within 25 miles of one of these points. So not as larger scale of a severe weather event, although we will continue to see rounds of severe storms up here. Scattered to severe thunderstorm will be possible Tuesday from the mid-south northeastward into the Ohio Valley. A few tornadoes, large to very large hail, and severe damaging winds all appear possible. And then we move into day 3 where we have a possible more upscale event as we're seeing as today. National Weather Service has issued an enhanced risk of severe weather through portions of Texas all the way up into the Ohio Valley into Kentucky. This is a 30% hatched risk, so we do have a big possibility to see another event here. Will it be like today? I don't know. Will it be a upper scale possible long tracked event like we're seeing today? It's a very big possibility with what we're seeing on the models. Scattered to numerous severe thunderstorms appear likely Wednesday across some parts of the southern plains into the mid-Mississippi, Ohio, and Tennessee valleys. Tornadoes, very large hail damaging winds should occur. Some of the tornadoes may be strong, so please heed that when that is said as well. Now, we didn't look at the description for the high risk today, so I do want to go and do that. There is a high risk of severe thunderstorms over parts of the western, central, and northern Oklahoma, south central Kansas. A regional outbreak of severe weather with multiple strong, long-track tornadoes, very large hail, and severe thunderstorm gusts is expected over parts of south central plains this afternoon through the evening. I very much do hope that you pause this video to read the synopsis. There's a decent amount of good information in here, and it kind of explains in more terms that this video can't what will happen. Now, as of right now, it is looking fairly calm for the most part. Right now, we do have the risk open on Radar Omega just to kind of show you what's expected to happen. But for the most part, there is going to be a little bit of convection move through this areas. It's not going to be anything that's going to wildly affect this set. And as this dry line sits right here, you can see these storms fire off pretty fast about 4 o'clock. This is Eastern Standard Time. You can see from 2 to 4 they start firing off through that slight/enhanced risk. So like I said a few minutes ago, you're going to have this set of storms through Kansas that is going to have a more possibility of an embedded tornado in its squall line. And for that most part, with that embedded set of tornadoes, you're going to have that line of storms that's going to be able to produce those damaging winds, that large hail. And then you're going to have a set of storms down south. I sneezed, my bad. But then we're going to have this set of storms down south towards the actual high risk area. And that's going to be your more discrete set of storms. That's going to be your higher significant tornado threat. And eventually this is just going to continue to move on, and that's going to re-strengthen. And then we're going to have more back here. So these are going to kind of merge into the squall line set of storms that we're seeing, and then we're going to have some more fire up, and these are going to rapidly gain intensity. And look what's in the line. You're going to have Tulsa in that line, Oklahoma City in that line, as well as that Wichita right here, Wichita, Kansas, in this line where we're seeing both of those discrete storms and that squall line of storms. And these will once again rapidly gain strength and intensity. And then by 9, 10 o'clock, we're going to zoom in because they're going to be somewhat still discrete, but they are going to be kind of trying to merge into that squall line. In Oklahoma City, by this time, if the HRRR is correct, you're going to have a lot to worry about because the strong tornado storm Depending on if this does do what the Storm Protection Center is expected to do, this could be a worst case scenario. The HRRR is not always correct, so we could see it shoot maybe down south a little bit, shoot up north a little bit, or for the fact of it, not even produce any type of tornadic storm. So that's what we can hope for. But eventually by 10, 11 o'clock, that will move off. By morning hours, it's going to turn more into an embedded set of storms. Embedded tornadoes, strong straight line winds, anywhere from Oklahoma City, Tulsa, all the way up into portions of Kansas. And then this just continues to move out of the enhanced risk and into the slight risk of severe weather. And then eventually that will just die off. And then in the morning hours, we will be able to tell what happens in this area. So major concern for the day. What I do want to do is back up just a little bit. We're moving back to about 9, 10 o'clock. And I want to look at some of these other models that are here, because if we go over to this little thing right here and we change over to something like, let's say, the significant tornado parameter. Significant tornado parameter helps you show the area of a highly more significant tornado. Please take that with a grain of salt. And you can see it's almost absolutely off the charts north of Oklahoma City towards Okarche. You can see all the way up in the 9s, the 10s almost. Very strong for the most part. And you can see if we look at that up here, it's all the way up in this area. So very, very significant tornado parameter as we're seeing right here. As we're sitting here and looking at the CAPE levels as well, CAPE in excess of 43 to 5,000. So once again, the CAPE is there, the moisture is there. We have we have that rotating, that instability there, that lifting mechanism will be there. This could be a pretty big outbreak of tornadoes, severe weather. You got to stay weather aware if you are in this area at all, just for the fact that you are under the Storm Prediction Center outlook. So for the most part, that's all I'll have for you guys today. A live stream will be here, so make sure you're checking the channel. Click interested when that does come out. It'll also be posted on my Twitter, so make sure you guys are following that. But for the most part, make sure that we have a way to receive alerts. This could be a very big event. We're just waiting to see what happens. It's a waiting game. We will be here covering it if something happens, which it will. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.